first because Dead President was one of my favorite movies from growing up.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I should say I'm sorry or thank you.
No. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and we loved that movie back then.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, now you do.
Now I do. I work with Michelle Prado, who's Dominican and Puerto Rican, and very proud. But she never told me, so I have to talk to her.
Look, one of my favorite things about the show, it's the use of music. The music, I think it's another like a character inside the show. Mm-hmm. Also, the dressing, even the city. I think the city is super important in the show. What elements do you took from the movies that you're using now in the show? Because it's in the same atmosphere, it's in the same universe.
Well, we definitely didn't take the music because generally John Wick films shy away from needle drops. They used them in John Wick 4 to great effect, but they're more kind of techno score, or they'll be in a disco. I call it a disco, and the DJ's spinning techno, and then there's a shootout. But if you take techno to its origins, it's disco. So that's one nod I took. I go, oh, I love disco. This is where it came from. Let's use disco, classic rock, funk, all these other genres that were around back then, even reggae, and it is, you hit it right in the head. That was the motivation, is we wanted it to be a character. And also because New York is kind of a melting pot of cultures. It's not kind of, it is. It's one of the rare cities that you see that many different cultures moving like that, and the sounds and the smells of that. It's the promise of the premise of America. So that kind of led into what the sound and feel is. The Wick movies have these kind of general rules, where these nice big locations that are kind of decadent, wardrobe, style. They have their style of lighting. Our style of lighting was slightly different because we're retro and we're reverse engineering things. So you take some of the nods, like, okay, it does love these really cool locations. It does love some great costumes. It does love these interesting characters. And then you kind of spin it backwards.
Also, it's like when in the movies, it's John Wick. This is one character. Now in the show, we have different characters, and we get to know them. How was the development of these characters that makes sense with the movie? Because we know Winston that we know from the movies, but then we start getting to attach things to characters that we know, or probably that we know already from the films.
Well, those two are quite easy, not so easy, but you know who they are, and you have to reverse engineer them to Winston and Sharon. The more difficult thing is introducing the new characters, whether it's Miles and Lou, or Yen, or Katie, or Mayhew, or the adjudicator. And you have to introduce this to the crowd and hope that they buy into the new world and the new characters, and also hope that they buy into the younger version of Winston and Sharon, which they're not quite fully developed as men as they are in the film series, and are like, baby rattlesnakes that don't know how to use their venom quite yet. Winston's still clever. Sharon's a little bit more naive and wide-eyed, and he's seen some things, but he's learning through this experience with Winston that on the backside of it, he's learned enough to know how to operate in the future.
And also, I think you guys were like super smart, because you used Mel Gibson as a face of this show. How was working with Mel Gibson with such powerful representation in the industry, as a director, as an actor, as a producer? How is working with him on TV?
Oh, he was a pro, and he's an egalitarian. He treats everybody equally, and it's just interesting watching him bring that character to life, because it's part of the reasons for the group to cast him was based on his past, passionate roles, and what we needed for the role. And I thought, in the end, he fit the role perfectly. And by the third episode, you start to see him go pretty nutso, which is what he's there for.
Also, how fun you were from the movies? Like, you knew you were following the movies, and when the project was born, between the movies, or like after chapter 4?
They started with the idea after John Wick 2.
Ooh.
And by John Wick 3 had already been out, and then the scripts had been, one script or two had been developed. I got it when they were shooting John Wick 4. And I had been a John Wick fan. I'd seen all the movies in the theater, and I saw an early cut of John Wick 4 when we were in post-production on this. They already had a cut for me to see without any visual effects. So I saw almost a 3-hour plus cut. And then I went and saw it in the theaters, because They didn't have the Arc de Triomphe in. It was all blue screen. They were just doing it in a parking lot. I was amazed at that sequence because there was no Arc de Triomphe anywhere in the original what they shot.
Looking forward, because everything happens in the 70s. Are we gonna watch more storytelling during the 80s, or like following another decade?
I hope the audience gets it. I haven't heard anything because I would love to see it, not necessarily me making it. I don't know. I would love to see the early 80s because of the music then, and how fun the MTV generation, the second generation of the British invasion coming in, and what's going on in the 80s with greed in New York and crime. Could be fun.
Albert, thank you so much for your time. Really
Thank you so much.
admire your work, Book Eveline and From Hell. I was discussing that movie.
Oh, thank you. I'm all over Michelle Prada about what you said now. I'm gonna call her up.
Yes, talk to her.
I will. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right, ciao.
Bye.